everybody, I'm Vera Stewart and welcome to the VeryVera Show. You know, I have some really special guests along the way, but I've known this young man since he was in high school. So let me introduce you to Todd Schafer. He's the owner and chef at Abel Brown here in Augusta, and it's actually right across the street. I'm so happy to have you.
I'm glad to be here. Thank you.
Tell us about your journey.
Well, I was very interested in cooking from an early age. I love to read, and my mother had a great cookbook collection, so I started there. I became obsessed with French cooking. I went to work for a French guy here who's still a great friend to this day. I went to culinary school in New York. I lived in California for a while, and then I came back here in 1999 and opened up a restaurant.
Oh my goodness. Well, how did you come up with the name Abel Brown?
Well, so it's interesting. I wanted to find a name that was nautical, but not cheesy. So I picked Abel Brown because it means able-bodied in that language. So an able-bodied sailor, they would call them Abel Browns.
Well, what are we going to be making today?
Okay, so today we're going to be making some hoe cakes with homemade pimento cheese and andouille sausage. We're going to make a roasted halibut T-bone with a bunch of different good ingredients and a chocolate croissant bread pudding.
Okay, well, we're going to get started. Everything's laid out beautifully with the hoe cake. So for our viewers, what in the world is a hoe cake?
Okay, so the hoe cake was farmhands 100 or so years ago. After the work was done in the fields, they would take their hoes, which were large.
Yeah, they were like that big.
Big, and they would put them over the coals, and they would make like a pancake batter essentially with cornmeal, and they would cook them over an open fire.
Y'all, I love this story. It is 2025 right now, and we are talking about a recipe from the field hands coming in to make.
That's right.
And it is still delicious.
Still
all right,
delicious.
So I know you had a little bit you got done in advance.
Sure, we've mixed all the dry ingredients together, and so what we need to do is we're going to mix our eggs together.
And what are all the dry ingredients in here?
So we have a Johnny meal, which is a nice coarse cornmeal, white cornmeal, flour, sugar, baking powder, baking soda, and salt.
All right, so I know you were teasing me yesterday when we were doing this that I used the little measuring cup to do the flour, but you are throwing me under the bus today.
That's right.
With a great idea for how you do this.
That's right. I'm going to take my dry ingredients and I'm going to place it on here.
He's very good at this.
We need to add the...
Okay. All right, so I'm going to just keep this in place.
So now I'm going to add my buttermilk, which is 4 cups.
You know, and that's part of it. You know, there's so much in the ingredients. You know, the buttermilk makes it fluffier.
That's right. And then I'm going to take my parchment paper, and then I'm going to add it slowly.
Look at that.
I know.
That goes a little bit faster than a measuring cup.
Well, this is after trial and error for sure. I discovered this way so I didn't break any containers in the giant mixer that we have at the restaurant.
When you think about it, Todd, your love of this, you know, you talked about your mother's cookbook collection and how long you've been doing this, and you're still so passionate about it because you do so much research to have an authentic menu for where we live. And, you know, something as simple as a hoe cake that the recipe is, you know, probably well over 150 years old.
Oh, for sure.
You're reintroducing it to your guests. Very popular.
It is a very popular dish. Okay, pull that. So if it's too thick, we're going to add a little bit more buttermilk.
And of course, he's doing this in a huge mixer.
That's right. We do this in a 30-quart mixer.
When you have to scale it down to somebody's house.
That's right.
It takes a minute.
It's kind of difficult. It doesn't quite work out. So we're adding the melted butter, the bacon fat, which is like gold.
Yeah, Yeah, because you have to cook a lot of bacon.
That's right. You can't, and you can't buy it.
To get it to that.
And then we're gonna add our jalapenos that have been roasted and peeled, seeded and peeled and diced.
Whoa! You have to cook these right away after you've done
You
the
don't.
batter?
This can stay in the fridge for 3 or 4 days.
Oh, really?
No problem.
Okay. All right.
All right, we're good.
All right.
Okay, so my pan is nice and hot. This nice thin cast iron.
It's hot for sure.
For sure. I'm gonna add a little bit of clarified butter. And I wanna make sure that it gets hot. These pans are awesome. They're non-stick after years and years of work. I always will pour off just a little extra. And then I'll get a ladle of this. And I like to bang it in there because I like it creates all these nice little nooks and crannies when we flip it over.
Okay, so that's going to take a few minutes to get it good and brown.
Just a minute or two on medium heat or so. And then we're gonna broil it the rest of the way in the oven for about 3 or 4 minutes. And then we'll pull it out of the oven and flip it and get it nice and make sure it's nice and brown.
All right, well, we're gonna come back in just a few minutes and we're gonna get started on a T-bone halibut.
That's right.
Oh my gosh. Come back. Welcome back, everybody. And if you're just joining me, I'm with Todd Schafer. He's the owner and chef at Abel Brown, which happens to be right across the street, so I can just run over there.
That's right.
When I smell what you're doing over there. So we've baked the hoe cake.
Right.
Turned out great. I can't wait to show you that in presentation. But now, you know, one of the things you came to the cottage to cook with me today.
Sure.
And this induction cooktop was kind of new to you. So what do you think about it?
I like it. I think it's great. It has a lot of different settings on there. The temperature is really easy to control.
Awesome. I'm glad to hear that. All right, so now we're on halibut.
Sure.
So walk us through.
All right, well, these are halibut T-bones that I have cut by my seafood company in Boston. They weigh 12 to 14 ounces. It's a great steak for our master's guests. I'm gonna take some kosher salt. I'm gonna season it.
I just, you know, and I've never even thought about halibut having that T-bone.
I know, right? It's both sides of the halibut. It's the top and the bottom fillet
Gosh,
together.
it's gorgeous.
Then I'm gonna add a little bit of clarified butter to this pan, and we want it to be hot.
Y'all, he loves this pan.
I love this pan. I've had them for 25 years, so they're great. They're non-stick. I wait for the butter to get nice and hot. I don't want it to stick. And then I put the prettiest side facing, what I consider to be the prettiest side facing down for presentation's sake. And I make sure that the pan is hot and it has to move around. If it moves around, it's not gonna stick.
Y'all, did you hear him say he puts the prettiest side down first for presentation? And that's the first introduction to your guests.
That's right.
On what they're gonna eat. I love that.
That's right. And so we'll sear it in there for 2 to 3 minutes. We want it to be nice and golden brown. Then we're gonna flip it and we're gonna put it in a hot oven, 400 degrees, 450, for about 3 to 4 minutes.
Okay, that looks great. Oh my goodness, that smells so great.
They smell great. We're gonna flip them over. We have this nice golden crust. Boom. And then we're just gonna pop them in the oven for about 3 to 4 minutes at 400.
Okay, perfect. All right, it just looks beautiful, and the fact that it's got that wonderful crust, and you didn't use flour or cornstarch or anything, I love that. So these ingredients, Todd, are just like the story of the South.
That's right.
In a picture, honestly. So what all have you got here?
So we've started our pan over here to get it warm and render out a little bit of the fat from the andouille sausage. And we have butter beans that have been cooked with ham hock. Then we're gonna add this smoked pickled okra.
This is probably my favorite one right here.
Boiled peanuts.
Can you believe it?
Which I love. Some pickled pearl onions.
I feel like I'm doing something at this moment.
and then some
Look how pretty those
baby
are.
tomatoes for color at the end. And then we're gonna warm it up a little bit.
Well, and you know, Todd, you've got access, and I'm sure have developed relationships over the years with some wonderful purveyors,
Right.
Like where you get the halibut
Sure.
in Boston and that sort of thing. But you know, locally, for me, if I'm looking for something unusual, I'm going to end up at the fresh market because they're going to have, you know, like some herbs and maybe some vegetables that I might not find someplace else.
For sure, I was there like a week ago looking for tomatillos.
Oh
So,
man,
of
okay,
course-
well, perfect. All right, so how long does this cook down?
So this cooks we just are trying to warm it. We don't really want to cook everything. Everything's really already cooked anyway. We don't want to overcook the tomatoes. They're really just kind of a contrast to those rich and like earthy flavors from the beans and the okra. And then we're going to season it with just a little bit of salt. And just until it's warm.
This is such a great representation of what you do in your restaurant. On your website, you can find the menu, you can see photography of all the different dishes, but you know, anything from small plates to appetizers to amazing entrees. So when we come back from the break, we're going to get started on dessert, which is like your number one.
Yes.
And
for
I
sure.
can tell you it is amazing. So come back with us after the break and we'll be ready to move on to something sweet. Welcome back, everybody, and we are on course 3 of an amazing menu that you can have at any time at Abel Brown here in Augusta, Georgia. And I'm with Todd Schafer. He's the owner and chef. And these are some of the dishes that you love to prepare for all of the national, international guests that come into Augusta during the Masters.
Yes, ma'am.
All right, so this is a chocolate croissant bread pudding.
That's right.
Can't wait.
So what we did was we took milk and heavy cream, and we're bringing it to a boil. We scraped 2 vanilla beans, and we're going to add the bean itself and what we scraped out of it.
Okay, wonderful.
And we're going to make sure we get every little piece of it because it's so expensive.
I mean, this is a very expensive ingredient.
And then we're going to just stir it a little bit to make sure all the little
You know,
vanillas-
TV needs to have a way for people to be able to smell this because this is amazing
It's
right
heavenly.
now.
It really is. While that's boiling, we're going to take our sugar into our egg yolks.
Okay, and for all of these old-fashioned homemade custard people out there that are part of our demographic for this show,
Sure.
I love this part. I love the whole process of how you've made this custard.
Well, I think for us in the restaurant business, speed is you're at a premium. So I've always just kind of tried to figure out ways to speed things up,
And not lose the quality.
that's right. Well, we beat it until it's a nice pale yellow. Mm-hmm. And then I go ahead and I just add it straight to that hot cream.
See?
The old
And
days,
if-
they would tell you to temper the cream into the eggs, but I do it.
Well, we're not in the old days.
That's right. And I'll go ahead and I'll get all of it out of there while we stir it.
Give me a job.
Do it. We'll stir that in there. And as soon as it's completely incorporated, we're going to take this. It's already ready to go. There's no chance we're going to curdle those eggs. We don't leave it on the heat long enough.
Y'all, there's just nothing like custard.
And that fresh vanilla. I mean, those little flecks are so delicious. And that's it.
Okay. All right, so, you know, as if you think he doesn't have enough technique going on here, wait until you see how he is with the layering of this croissant bread pudding. And these croissants are chocolate filled.
That's right.
And so you get them in from a bakery.
I do.
But they actually have those at the fresh market as well if you want to make this recipe. And as always, Todd has been nice enough to share the recipes, and they'll be on our website at VeryVera.com.
And this recipe works a lot better if you cool it down, because we want the eggs, we're trying to not cook the eggs, because where we want the eggs to cook is when they're in the dish. So we try to cool it down. In the restaurant, we cook this the day before,
Okay.
and we let it cool, and then we add it cold.
So you put it directly into the refrigerator.
That's right.
Okay.
I cool it down completely. My cooks hate it because I make them, they have to stir it until they can't see steam anymore. But
Oh, they love it.
they probably do.
They're smiling.
And then I just stir it until I can't see any more steam, and then I'll refrigerate it.
Okay, so tell us quickly what you did with the bread.
I toasted them in a 350-degree oven for about 6 minutes, and then I'm just going to add some chocolate chips, just
And
randomly.
he counts them.
9. 9 chocolate chips just seems to be the right number.
Okay, so we're going to put this together during the break, and then while that's cooking, I'm going to go put on my dinner clothes.
Nice.
Because we're going to actually go to Abel Brown and have each of these courses served to us just like they would be served if you went there for dinner. So we've got a lot to look forward to. Do not go away. We'll see you back in just a minute. Welcome back, everybody. And this is a little different from being in the kitchen all day long.
It really is.
Oh, my goodness. Well, it's just a beautiful restaurant, Todd, and it's just so welcoming when you walk in. You've got a great bar. You've got a wonderful oyster bar, plenty of seating. I know you do a lot of dinners in the room that we're in right now, private dinners.
Yes, ma'am.
So we just had the best time today, and I certainly want everybody to know just a little bit more about every dish that we made. So let's walk through the hoe cakes and pimento cheese.
Okay, so we made the hoe cake batter and we put it into a very hot cast iron skillet. I like to take the ladle that I use and kind of bang the batter out into the pan so it creates all these little nooks and crannies that we see. We cook it on one side, we broil it a little bit, then flip it over to get it brown on both sides. And we served it with our pimento cheese.
Okay, so you know I do pimento cheese too. Are we going to have a throwdown?
I think we're going to have to.
Okay, so tell us about your recipe for pimento cheese.
So I use extra sharp cheddar, and but I also like to throw a different cheese in there. I do a cave-aged Gruyere cheese, which gives it a little bit of tang. Mayonnaise, cream cheese, roasted peppers that we do in-house. We mix that all together, and then we put it on this board, and we add. We like to saute a little bit of andouille, small and diced andouille until it's nice and crisp, and then we spoon it over the top of the cheese, and we serve it with this nice kind of Indian spiced okra.
It's beautiful. Fried. Okay, I'm saving room for halibut, and I think that's coming up next,
here she comes right now with your entree.
Oh, I can't wait. Oh my goodness, that is beautiful. And the thing I love is what we just talked about. The presentation
That's right.
is the first impression of what it's going to be. So walk us through the plating of this and how you put this together.
So underneath we use Anson Mills rice grits, and we cook that with a little bit of chicken stock, some butter and Parmesan cheese, and a little bit of lemon oil. We add the halibut T-bone to the top. And then I've sauteed all those southern ingredients, the pearl onions, the andouille sausage, the butter beans, the okra, and the boiled peanuts, of course. The sauce that we made earlier, that shrimp jus, goes all around.
All right, so this sauce looks amazing, and it's like gold because it took forever to make it.
Really
Tell us
is.
about it.
So it's we make a shrimp stock here in-house, and we add more southern ingredients, andouille. It's really a riff on an old French sauce, but we add andouille, onions, fennel, garlic, fresh herbs. That's tomato paste. We deglaze with sherry, and we reduce it all the way down. And then we finish it off with a little bit of butter to kind of enrich in it when we serve it.
Oh, man. Well, I'm going to hold back just a minute because I can't wait for dessert. Todd, that is gorgeous. Oh, my goodness. Well, it transformed since it came out of the oven.
That's right.
So walk us back through your prep right before you put it in the oven.
So I take the toasted croissants and put them inside, and then I add chocolate chips, good quality chocolate chips, and then we pour the base that we made with the cream and the sugar and the eggs. We pour it over slowly because I want it to soak into the individual pieces of croissant. I don't have to add too much. And then we bake it in an oven with a water bath so it doesn't burn. And then when we warm it up here, we warm it up and then we garnish it with chocolate ganache and a little bit of wild turkey creme anglaise.
I mean, for all of you custard lovers, this recipe is amazing.
It's great, and you can do it for a larger party too. You could do a bigger one. You don't have to do it so small. You could do a larger
pan
for 10
of
or
it.
12 people.
Absolutely. So it just really is fabulous. Todd, you know, we've known each other for a long time. One day you stopped me and said, "You're the only person I know that was at work on Mother's Day." And, you know, you just received for the third year in a row the best restaurant in Augusta magazine. You know, I hope you're okay with me saying I am so proud of you.
Well, I appreciate
and it's
that.
not easy, it is hard work, but he is so passionate. If you're planning to come to Augusta next year for the tournament, you better make your reservation at Abel Brown and be able to enjoy this. And as I always say on the VeryVera show, no matter what you do, do it in good taste. And I'm going to keep having some good taste right now. Come back with us next week. If you have questions or comments about today's show, or you just want to know more, please join our email list at veryvera.com.